Please open your ELA notebook to the grammar section and the next available page. In our last lesson, we discussed what a complete sentence was. A complete sentence contains a subject, and a complete sentence contains a verb, which we will later refer to as a predicate. Today we're going to focus on the subject. So at the top of your paper, write the subject of a sentence. Your I can statement is, I can identify the complete and simple subject of a sentence. Right. When we're looking at the subject, we're looking for whom or what the sentence is about. The subject of a sentence tells whom or what the the sentence is about. For example, here's a complete sentence. Lois Linsky wrote Strawberry Girl. Here I am capitalizing Strawberry Girl because it's the title of a novel, and we are also going to underline it because it's the title of a novel. Okay, but as I said before, the subject tells whom or what the story is about, or what the sentence is about. So in this sentence, Lois Linsky wrote Strawberry Girl. Who is the sentence about? The sentence is about Lois Linsky. So I want you to circle Lois. And let's draw an arrow to it to say that this is our subject. Let's do another example. Here is a complete sentence. The tooth with a point is called the canine. The tooth with a point is called the canine. Again, we ask who or what is our sentences about. So the tooth with a point is called the canine. We're asking who. It doesn't tell us anything about who. It tells us what. So what would be the tooth? And not just the tooth, but the tooth with a point. They're being specific about which tooth it is. So the tooth with a point, again, here is the subject. Now in our first example, this answered the question of who. And in our second example, this answered the question of what. So if these are the subjects of a sentence, how do I know what the subject of a sentence is if I'm unable to find it? Maybe that's a little difficult for me. Here's how you find it. I'd like you to write a star and write that question down. How do I find the subject? Ask yourself, these two questions. Kind of reviewing what we just did, but we're specifically going to write those questions down right now. Number one, who or what is doing something? Who or what is doing something? Or you can ask yourself this question: about whom or what is something being said? About whom or what is something being said? Let's do a couple of examples. Our first example sentence is, my best friend sits next to me in science class. My best friend sits next to me in science class. So looking at these questions, look at question number 1, who or what is doing something? Well, who sits? The verb in our sentence is sitting. So who is sitting? And that would be my best friend. So because my best friend answers who is sitting, that makes that my subject. Okay, let's look at another example. The next sentence is, science class is very interesting this year. Science class is very interesting this year. While the last question answered the question of who is doing something, this one is going to answer what is being said about something. So what are they talking about? They're talking about science class. They're saying that science class is very interesting. So it's answering the question, what? And again, we're pointing to the subject, which is science class. Right, turn the page to the next blank page. Now, the position of the subject in a sentence can vary. So that means that it can be at the beginning of a sentence, the middle of the sentence, or even at the end of a sentence. So I would like you to put a star again and write the position of a subject The position of a subject can change. Period. So the subject can either be at the beginning, the middle, or even the end of a sentence. Okay? Here's an example of that. After school, Teresa went to band practice. After school, comma, Teresa went to band practice. Okay, who or what is this sentence talking about? Well, it's asking who went. And who went? Teresa did. So here, contrary to what we've done on the examples before that, here we have the subject in the middle of the sentence. So subject is in the middle. In the other examples, we've had it at the beginning of the sentence. Let's look at one where we put it at the end of a sentence. Under our house was a tiny kitten. Under our house was a tiny kitten. Under our house was a tiny kitten. So what was under the house? It was a tiny kitten. Should include that A in there. So this time our subject is located at the end of a sentence. Okay? So far we've talked about that a sentence it contains a subject and a predicate or a verb. And with our subject, we've talked about how to find it. We know how that to find a subject, we need to...
Lily Laws to the office, please. Lily Laws to the office.
Pardon the interruption. Okay, we've also talked about the fact that to find a subject, we can just ask ourselves, who or what is this sentence about, or who or what is the sentence talking about? So now what we need to talk about is the fact that there are two different ways to look at our subjects, and that is to look at them as a simple subject or a complete subject. So let's look at first a complete subject. So let's put a star on our paper and write complete subject. A complete subject consists of all the words needed to tell whom or what the sentence is about. A complete subject consists of all of the words needed to tell what or whom the story is about. Okay. Underline all of the words. Okay, so complete, think of it being all, right? Complete is all. So all of the words needed to tell the subject. Here's an example. The Korean market is closed today. The Korean market is closed today. Okay, so who or what is the sentence about? Well, the sentence is about the Korean market. So all of these words tell us what's happening, or tell us who it's happening, or what it's happening to. So the Korean market is closed today. We're focusing on the Korean market. However, only one of these words is what we would call the simple subject, and that's the word market. These words, the and Korean, are there to help us understand more about which market they're talking about. So market is actually our simple subject. Oops. Sorry. Okay. So a simple subject is the main word that the sentence is talking about. So let's put another star and write simple subject. And then it's the main word that tells who or what the sentence is about. And I'd like you to underline where it says the main word. So we're looking at just one. Complete subject, it's all of the words that go with it. Simple subject, it's just one of the words that go with it. Okay? All right, we will practice this at school again tomorrow, so look forward to talking to you then. Have a great night.